Hello YouTube, I'm Jack Clark, the Musketeer, coming to you with another video. Hello, how are you? So of course, as you can see by the screen, I'm going to be talking about the new vampire cards that will be coming out in Shadow Spectres. So yes, I'm renewing my archetype analyses that I used to do in the past. So of course, if you'd like to see me do an archetype analysis on another archetype, like Ghost Tricks or something I'm thinking of doing in the future, or whatever, then do say so in the comments down below as a video response. And of course, if you'd like to see more of these kinds of videos anyway. But yes, of course, let's get straight to it with our first card, Vampire Sorcerer. Vampire Sorcerer is a dark zombie level 4, 1500 attack, 1500 defense point monster. Its effect activates when it's sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card. It can be by battle or by card effect, and when you do so, you can add one dark vampire monster or one vampire spell or trap card from your hand to your deck to your hand even, and during your main phase, of course, you can banish it in your graveyard to normal summon a dark vampire monster this turn without tributing. So two very good effects, of course, both relatively slow. Of course, you need to first put it into the graveyard by your opponent's card for its first effect, and of course it needs to be in the graveyard for the other effect. Of course, zombies being oriented on their graveyard is all very well and nice, but whether or not this archetype is going to be what zombies really need to kind of be invigorated and maybe compete competitively will be interesting. However, what I do like about this card, of course, is that it may potentially hint at a future with a slower format. I maybe just be thinking really quite, I maybe just kind of wishful thinking, but maybe, I don't know. It's a nice card. The fact that it's activated whenever it's sent to the graveyard by your opponent is very nice, and of course has a choice of targets, has quite a good choice of targets now, of course, including the new support in Shadow Spectres and the existing vampires. I mean, Vampire Lord is now searchable, which is nice, I guess, but the main reason for why this card is quite nice is also because of the vampire spells and traps, which are also included in Shadow Spectres, which of course this card can search for directly, which is really quite nice, and having spell and trap cards searchability is always good. Another good thing about this card, of course, is its secondary effect, which allows you to normal summon a dark vampire monster from your hand without tributing, which is just gorgeous, and I love that because, of course, as you can probably tell, other support in this set, this facilitates the other cards in this in Shadow Spectres really quite well. So this is quite a nice, solid monster. Whether or not its effect will be a bit too slow will be for like competitive play will be to see seen, but either way it's still a very, very good card. I'm saying I really like in vampires. So next off we have Vampire Grace. Vampire Grace is a dark zombie level 6 monster with 2000 attack, 1200 defense. Its effect is that when a level 5 or higher zombie type monster is special summoned to your side of the field by the effect of another zombie type monster, or a zombie type monster including itself even, while it is in the graveyard, you can pay 2000 life points to special summon it from your graveyard. You can only use this effect of Vampire Grace once per turn, and once per turn you can declare one card type, be it monster, spell, or trap, and your opponent sends one card of that type from their deck to their graveyard. So yeah, vampires. I'm liking how the new vampires are actually reflecting directly on the old ones, of course with their effects to send stuff from your opponent's deck to the graveyard at your choice, which is an odd mechanic until we get like a vampire that can do multiple cards, multiple effects per turn, then we'll have something there. But it's always nice to be able to send one of your opponent's spells or traps to the graveyard, because of course monsters are reusable, but their spells and traps really aren't. So let's actually look into this card. It's level 6, which means, of course, it can't be used as the boss monster that I will be talking about later on in the video. But being a level 6, of course, is quite nice. Of course, something can be facilitated by the effect of Vampire Sorcerer, but with 2000 attack points, you're not really going to be doing anything offensive with it. Of course, its effect to be summoned from the graveyard by paying 2k is rather steep, and I'm not quite sure if I'm too keen on the 2k cost, because of course, competitively speaking, you can't really afford to lose those life points. I mean, Solemns are not really in people's favour at the moment for a reason. But it's still a nice card. Of course, there are other vampire cards that actually works really quite well with. I mean, there's Vampire's Curse, which of course appeared in Yu-Gi-Oh! R, the Yu-Gi-Oh! R manga, used by one of the card professors, who of course is a level 6 vampire as well. So that means that this deck actually does have some rank 6 options, and of course having rank 6 options is always good, especially considering the deck already has rank 5s. So Gaia Knight, the Thunder Charger or whatever, it has also got some new cards, but Ptolemy's Messier 7, Gauntlet Shooter, and all of those cards, they are really good. I mean, Photon Strike Bouncer, that's awesome. So the fact that this card can somewhat facilitate that is always useful. Whether or not it would be good, in the vampire deck will remain to be seen. I'm a bit skeptical in it, especially with its only 2,000 attack points. Next off, of course, we have Shadow Vampire, which is, of course, is the MVP of the deck. I have not even used it, but I can already tell it's awesome. The artwork is epic as well. I do love how, of course, Yu-Gi-Oh! The artwork in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is now kind of taking it up a notch. So it looks awesome, and of course, it's a dark zombie as well. Level 5, 2000 attack, 0 defense. 0 defense for a zombie. Oh, we never would have thought it. Its effect, of course, is that when it is normal summoned, you can special summon one dark vampire monster from your hand or deck, except another shadow vampire. But if you do, monsters you control other than the monster you summoned cannot declare an attack this turn. This card cannot be used in Xyz material except for the Xyz summon of a dark monster. So this card is quite good, and of course is how you're going to be facilitating your power plays, in addition to being able to summon their main boss monster, which I'll be getting to next. They can also summon other dark Xyzs. I know you're not going to be summoning Heart Earth necessarily, but being able to summon Aegis is also very good. I mean, spot removal for cards on the field is awesome, and of course this deck will have virus compatibility, which is always very nice to have, which is also going to help it combat the popular meta, especially with Prophecy running about rearing their ugly heads. So those are always good options to have, in addition to it being a very good solid 2000 attack point monster. Having no defense points means it's searchable by such like goblins. It's very good card. I love this. Zombies do have a hell of a lot of good support, so maybe the vampires can use it efficiently to do something competitively. I'm not quite sure. I'm liking the look of this card, but let's see what else we got. Vampire Bram the Edelritter. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that horrendously wrong, but I hope so. Anyway, of course, this is their dark zombie Xyz monster, 2500 attack, 0 defense. And of course, its requirements are 2 level 5 zombie type monsters. Its effect is that you can detach one Xyz material from it to target a monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon that target to your side of the field. You can use the effect of Vampire Bram der Ritter once per turn, and if you do, monsters you control other than that monster cannot attack this turn. If this card on the field is destroyed by an opponent's card, either by battle or by card effect, and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it from the graveyard in face-up defense position during next turn's standby phase. So, awesome artwork, I gotta say. I do love this card a lot, in addition to the fact that, of course, Shadow Vampire facilitates its use. Just summon Shadow Vampire, and then, of course, summon the classic Vampire lore directly from your deck. Go straight into this card. In addition to it being an Eradicated Epidemic Virus target, having 2500 attack points is a good, solid attack points to have, but its effect immediately allows you to summon stuff in your opponent's graveyard, which is just awesome, especially considering that when your opponent summons monsters, they're potentially going to be quite big monsters, no less. Elemental dragons, they are actually quite decent on their own, in addition to the fact, of course, Priestess, yes please. Anyway, its effect of being able to summon something from your opponent's graveyard is very nice, reborn it as a zombie, so of course give you some advantage to counteract the fact that it's obviously, and it counteracts its actual summoning costs and the advantage you would have lost. Of course, with Shadow Vampire making this card pretty much costless, which I'm really quite liking. Whether or not that is actually the case is to be we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of curious to see how a deck of these would work. I kind of want to try it out myself. I may do so in future and show you guys what these guys can actually do. But its effect, of course, summon itself from the graveyard is also very nice. The fact it summons itself in face-up defense position during the next turn standby phase can be rather nasty, and it's not particularly the nicest of things being able to summon in defense mode, but of course if it's destroyed during your opponent's turn, it gets summoned during your turn. So of course it may have no Xyz material, but being rank 5, it means you can go into Gaia Dragon Charger, the Thunder Charger, whatever it's called, relatively easy for an additional 100 attack points and piercing. So this card's really good. Like I said, Eradicated Epidemic Virus loves this card, and I love this card too. Being able to summon monsters from your opponent's graveyard is also very nice. So, let's go to their spell cards. We have Vampire Empire, which is a field spell, and I've got to say, I do love the artwork on this one as well. Its effect, of course, is that zombie-type monsters gain 500 attack during damage calculation only. In addition, once per turn, when a card is sent from your opponent's deck to the graveyard, you can target a card on the field, send one dark vampire monster from your deck or hand to the graveyard, and if you do, destroy that target. Aha! So this is where all those vampire effects, which allow you to get rid of stuff from your opponent's deck, come into play and actually become relevant. So, of course, this is awesome. In addition to being able to fill your graveyard for future vampire plays, you also get to destroy shit on the field, which is very nice. And, of course, having the spot removal is awesome. It's a shame it doesn't give you, like, an additional draw or something to keep the deck going. But this is awesome. I really like this card. And of course, being able to be searched by Vampire Sorcerer and stuff like Terraforming means that this card is going to be easily used as well. Being able to get your monsters gain 500 attack points during damage calculation as well. It's actually quite good. That 500 attack points is really appreciated, especially considering that attack boost is also generic and applies to all zombies, not just your vampires. I love this card, and it'll be interesting to see, because in addition to it being a field spell, you have Malefics, which are also now going to be a factor with the vampire deck. So, let's get to our last card, which of course is the trap card, Vampire Shift, which is a normal trap card, and its effect is as follows. If your field spell card zone is unused and the only face-up monsters you control are zombie-type monsters, activate one Vampire Empire from your deck. Then you can special summon one dark vampire monster from your graveyard in face-up defense position, and you can only activate one Vampire Shift per turn. So, of course, another card. In addition, another card that can search for your Vampire Empire, which is really quite nice yet again. Being able to summon a vampire from your graveyard in face-up defense, I mean, I guess it's an additional monster that you can summon, is nice. And, of course, being a trap is a bit slow, but actually it means you can use it during your opponent's end phase, and you have additional Xyz fodder. You can immediately get your field spell on the field, which is really quite nice. I really like the vampires, and I'm seeing that a lot of people are having like some trouble with like how the deck works and such. So I'm going to try and see what I can do with these cards on Dueling Network if and when they do get on Dueling Network. But of course, until then, my name is Jack Clark, the Yuga Musketeer. Do tell me what you think about these cards in the comments down below or as a video response. I really would like to hear what you think about them, and of course whether or not you would like to see more archetype analyses in future. But that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm Jack Clark, the Yuga Musketeer. More videos coming out to you soon, but until then, goodbye.